Hello, and thank you for joining me for understanding the gut brain axis, how your gut microbes can affect your brain. How many people know that the gut had an overwhelming influence on how your brain develops and grows and balances? If you didn't, that's okay, because up until very recently, I didn't either. Thanks to my microbiome course and my journal colloquy course this year, this summer specifically, I've learned a lot about the microbiome and the way your gut bacteria affects your overall general well being and your overall mental health. So what you eat influences your gut microbiota, which in turn influences your brain. In layman's terms, you are what you eat. And I have a very prime example of this. I have a friend who has a adolescent teenager who has two different households. They're a split household. And the teenager, when they come back to their house after spending time at the other person's house, they come back and they're a bit grumpy and they're a little bit more prone to anxiousness or lashing out because the diet at that house isn't great. It's mostly fast food or greasy foods. There's not a lot of fruits, vegetables, things we would consider healthy in their diet at that house. So when they come back to my friend's house, they eat a lot of green vegetables, they eat a lot of fruits, and about 3 days in, the adolescent is back to the way they normally are with them. They're happy. They're um, communicative. They're less prone to anxiety attacks. They're less prone to um, outbursts or anything like that. So obviously, you've got a lot going on when you're a teenager. So some of that stuff's just going to be normal teenager stuff. But seeing the difference in the eating habits has really shown me that it is true. What you eat influences your gut microbiota, and that in turn influences your brain, or you are what you eat. The kid eats healthy food and has healthier reactions to things. The kid eats junk food and he has less healthy reactions to things. So basically, that's what this is. You feed the bad bacteria the sugary sweets and the salty, greasy chips and the not great for you things, and they thrive. And when they thrive, they produce a lot of toxins or chemicals that your body necessarily can't process properly, which leads to increased inflammation in your gut. And that increased inflammation in your gut leads to your brain not being able to get all the nutrients that it might need to process the proper neurotransmitters that it needs to keep you balanced. And you can see down here in the bottom right corner, you've got the happy bacteria eating the fruits and vegetables and the whole grains and all the good things in your system and producing happy chemicals. And when you eat a majority of those things, you're happier. Things are easier to take if you get bad news, or they're easier to influence if you're having good eating habits. So that leads me to the following slide, which is three infographics um, from references that I pulled from. And it shows in the top left, it shows um, the healthy things leading to less inflammation in your gut because they're producing good chemicals. And those things help your brain process the proper neurotransmitters, and they also help your immune system react if there's something negative, like a bacterial viral infection. So your gut influences that by processing these things and releasing the good chemicals into your body, the nutrients that you need that you don't necessarily break down on your own, that help you make those neurotransmitters and help you function at a higher level. The middle image is the one that is about early childhood development. So if you can see there, the inflammation of the gut is important. We're looking at that at all times when we're talking about gut microbiota and its influence. Increased levels of inflammation lead to decreased levels of neurotransmitters, which leads to increases in things like ADHD, cognitive disorders, depression, anxiety, stress disorders, and then in later adult life leads to Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and dementia because you're not having those good neurotransmitters being produced. You're not counteracting any of the bad things. And if you're feeding your body bad things, then it's producing the bad things, which makes that build up faster and can lead to things like early onset for some of these diseases. And then in the bottom right corner, it's an image of the different types of gut microbiota chemicals that get produced, and there's cytokines and there's all the other things. But basically, it's just divided into good and bad. What's good for you, what's bad for you, and what your gut provides, which, as you can see in that image, is a lot, and it is an overarching thing that, your gut influences what your mental state's going to be like. So, in conclusion, you kind of control that destiny. If you make better choices, then you can avoid having some negative impacts. So I hope you learned something today, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day.